Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we re-diving deep into a specific and potentially frustrating fault you might encounter in the cockpit. The UAT fail message, which points to a failure in your ADS-B data unit. If you see this, your avionics system is essentially telling you that the ADS-B transmitter and receiver are UNT talking to each other. This is a big deal for situational awareness and regulatory compliance. So let's walk through how to troubleshoot it, step by step. First things first, don't panic. Like any good troubleshooting process, we're going to start with the simplest and most common culprits. The UAT, or Universal Access Transceiver, is the heart of your ADS-B out and in system on 978 MHz. When it files, the first things to check are its lifelines, the antennas, and the wiring. Let's start with the antennas. Your ADS-B system typically has two, one on the top of the aircraft and one on the bottom. The top one is for receiving GPS signals to determine your position, and the bottom one is for transmitting and receiving a DSB data. Visually inspect both. Are they secure? Is there any visible damage, corrosion, or cracking? A loose connection or a damaged antenna is a very common cause for this kind of fault. Wiggle the connection at the base of the antenna gently. If it's loose, that could be your problem right there. Also, check the coaxial cables leading from the antennas. Look for any kinks, cuts, or abrasions along the entire length of the cable that you can access. A damaged cable can degrade the signal to the point of failure. If the antennas and their immediate connections look good, our next step is to trace the wiring back to the avionics unit itself. This is where a good wiring diagram for your specific aircraft installation is worth its weight in gold. You'll want to check the connectors at the back of the UAT module. Are they fully seated and locked? Sometimes, vibrations can cause these connectors to work themselves loose over time. Unplug them and plug them back in to be sure. While they're unplugged, take a close look at the pins and sockets. Are any of them bent, pushed back, or a single bad pin can bring the whole system down? Now, let's talk about power. The UAT module needs a steady supply of electricity to function. Your next check is the circuit breaker for the avionics system, specifically for the ADS-B or UAT unit. As it popped, if it has, you can try resetting it once. If it pops again immediately, don't keep resetting it. This indicates a short circuit somewhere in the system that needs to be found and fixed. If the breaker is fine, you'll need a multimeter to verify that power is actually reaching the unit. Again, consult in your wiring diagram. Identify the power and ground pins on the main connector. With the system turned on, carefully check for the correct voltage. If you're not getting power, you have a wiring issue between the breaker panel and the unit. If you have power, but the unit still isn't working, we move on to the next step. So, you've checked the antennas, the wiring, the connectors, and you've confirmed the unit is getting power, but you still have that UAT fail message. At this point, the evidence is starting to point toward the UAT module itself being the problem. The internal electronics might have failed. Before we condemn the unit, there's one more thing to consider. Software and configuration. Is it possible a recent software update on another piece of avionics has created a communication conflict? Check for any service bulletins from the manufacturer. Sometimes, a simple configuration change or software patch is all that is needed to resolve these communication errors between different boxers in your panel. However, if you've exhausted all these other possibilities, it's highly likely that the UAT module has failed internally. It's a sealed, complex piece of electronics, and there's not much you can do to service it in the field. This is when it's time to replace the unit. If your aircraft is under warranty or you have a maintenance program, this process will be straightforward. If not, you'll need to source a new or properly serviced UAT module. To summarize our troubleshooting flow, start with a visual inspection of the top and bottom antennas. Check the security and condition of the coaxial cables and connectors. Next, verify the system's circuit breaker and confirm with a multimeter that the unit is receiving power. If all of that checks out, investigate potential software or configuration conflicts. If the UAT FIL message persists after all these steps, it's time to replace the UAT module. Working on avionics can be complex, and if you're ever unsure, It's always best to consult a qualified avionics technician. They have the specialized tools and experience to diagnose these problems quickly and safely. Thanks for watching. I hope this guide helps you the next time you're faced with a UAT failure. Fly safe, and we'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more avionics tips.